Welcome to Picture Book Chat, where we feature a handful of new picture books each month and discuss what makes them great. Whether you're a parent, caregiver, or teacher, you're bound to find some wonderful reading suggestions from librarians Mary Ellen Brax and Sheri Boggs.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Picture Book Chat. We are so happy to be here today. So I'm Mary Ellen.
And I'm Sheri.
And we're here to talk about some books today.
I'm really excited about this group.
It's a fun group.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting group of books, too.
Yeah.
So our first one is called Penny and Pip. It's by Candace Fleming and Eric Rohmann, I think you say his name. So this is about a little girl named Penny who takes a trip to a museum with her class. And she's very excited. It's her first time visiting the Natural History Museum. And of course, the first page, you see a dinosaur. And then something happens when nobody notices, is that a little egg starts to hatch. And out pops a baby dinosaur.
It's the cutest thing ever.
It is.
I love the art in this book.
It is. It's so cute. And then the dinosaur kind of follows her through the museum. And they talk about some of the exhibits there that they walk through, which is kind of fun. And then they end up at lunchtime and she ends up feeding him.
I know, it looks like he got some of her cheese.
Yeah, cheese and crackers. And she burps them. I just think this is just so funny. Kids will love this. And so then they need to figure out, they're in the dinosaur room, but then she realizes she needs to figure out how to get him home.
Yeah.
And so they come up with a plan because she doesn't fit in her pocket, doesn't fit in her backpack. So what they do is they go when they're in the museum store, they have him pretend he's a stuffed animal.
Genius.
Which I thought was so great.
Excellent problem solving.
Yes. And then they walk out of the museum and she pays for him like $1. And then I love how it ends, though, because she says, Penny and Pip followed the class out the front door, down the wide stairs, and into the future together.
Aww. And
I thought, wow, that just leaves it open for the kids to talk about, well, what do you think they're going to do together? What do you think's going to happen? So I thought this was a really cute book. There's a lot of white space in it, so the illustrations really pop, I think. And I like the diversity in the class that they show. It shows that the kids are all having fun at the museum. So I just thought it was a really imaginative story. So I think it would work well with kind of older preschool, early elementary, kindergarten, first grade. I think this would be a fun one to read.
Yeah, definitely. We don't always get to talk about technique in Picture Book Chat, but I want to talk about these illustrations because I love the softness of them. Like there's these thick black outlines, but then all the colors within that are really soft. And I was looking at the back of the book, and it turns out the illustrator, she did pencil drawings on frosted mylar.
Oh.
And then enlarged it and filled in the colors digitally, which I would have thought these were paintings or maybe like thick art markers or something. But I love the quality of light that's in all of these. Like, I think she's able to get some really cool textures with that technique. So I think from a picture, like studying the art of picture books, this is a really great one to look at just to kind of see a different way of doing things.
Yeah.
And I love that a lot of the things, I just noticed this, but I love in the gift shop, you get to see some of the things that were previous in the book. Like you see the little bison here that you see earlier in the book as one of the exhibits.
Yeah, you see the Tyrannosaurus skeleton.
when it came to field trips, like I loved the gift shop.
Yes.
Like that was my favorite part
Definitely.
usually. So I love seeing the kids
Definitely.
get really excited about these toys.
Yeah, so this would be great for reading to a class before they go on their field trip too. And what do you think we're going to see, and talk about that? And then you could do the same thing, at the end where they talk about the future and say, well, would you go back to the museum? What would you do? What would you see? So there's some different things you can do with this one. So Penny and Pip, very cute.
Yeah, and these guys have done other picture books together. Like I think they did the one Time Flies, which was a Caldecott winner in the 90s. I love whenever they do a pairing, and I think this one's really gorgeous. It's a lot of fun.
Yes. And then remember, you can do the ISBN, and it'll bring up all the information about the book. If you're
and you can
interested.
place a hold.
Great.
All right. Well, our next book is A Day with No Words by Tiffany Hammond. And I love this book because it's about she calls it an autism family. And the main character has autism, and she's kind of playful with this title because you get the feeling that he's not really communicating with words, but they're not spoken words. He's got a little laptop or a tablet that he uses when he gets up. And so she's asking, if he's ready to get up, and he doesn't look like it, but he's tapping yes. And the text is rhyming. My eyes squeeze shut. I'm not ready to get up, but I open my eyes. I reach for my tablet, look at the screen, tap yes on the app. My thoughts are now seen. So it's got this great kind of cadence to the text as you read it. And this kind of gives you insight into what it's like for some people to have autism. Like noise can be a huge thing, and people's voices can be overwhelming. I know that because I have a nephew with autism, and that was a big thing. Like loud noises drove him crazy. Talking too fast, you'd kind of have to slow it down. You'd need it to be super literal, so as not to overwhelm him. And here he talks about what the voices are like. Some voices feel like storms in my head. They thrash and they scream. Others have voices that are soft and smooth, like freshly whipped cream, which I just thought was a great way to describe voices. And so in this book, he's talking about his parents and their voices, and they go to the park. He's got a tablet that he uses to communicate all these different things. And at the park, he's kind of dancing around, and the kids are pointing at him because he's, like really moving around a lot. I imagine maybe there's some flapping going on. And somebody says that boy's handicapped. And like, I love the way his mom handles this, because she gets really mad. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath. And she says, my son does not speak, but his ears work just fine. The words that you say go straight to his mind. So I love that she kind of schools the other, the other parents, and what she's saying is true. Like he doesn't have an issue with understanding words. And the author in the back talks about, she has 2 sons with autism, and she said that that's something she was constantly having to explain, that even though both boys are mute, they still understand words and they can use words to communicate. And so they end up, he's twirling in the park. He's having fun. The day is saved because of the way his mom handled it. I just think this was so great. Oh, gosh. And then there's this whole part where they go to a fast food place, and she turns on her tablet and she looks at the cashier, smiles, and then types small fries, root beer. And then I love this part. It takes him a moment, but then he pushes buttons too. So I love that it normalizes, we use buttons to communicate and screens to communicate all the time. So I've talked enough about this book, Marielle. What do you think?
No, I liked all the same things about it. And I thought her use of color here and the illustrations were great at kind of trying to depict what's going on for him and what's going on for mom, too, as they tell the story. I think this one would be a great one to use in a classroom if, we have, some of the kids are fully integrated into the classroom. Some come in for a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
So this would be a great one to introduce if they do have a child that is coming in, it might help with the situation, just to let them know what they're feeling and what they're doing. So I could see using that. I think it would be good to use for siblings too.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and just, I think for general education too, you're making some assumptions. I think the moms in the park making assumptions as to what's really going on, would be a good thing. So I think you have some good jumping off points for talking and for discussion during this one too.
Yeah.
Once again, I'd use it for, and I think our group today is kind of geared a little bit older. It's more of the early elementary, the K1, 2, maybe older 4s with that first one, but just keeping in mind that. But I think for a family, this would be a good one to read because it does have that rhyming text in there too. So it will flow nicely for the younger kids too. And I think the younger kids would, might say, oh, well, I know somebody like that. And it will give them some context.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, some scaffolding. But yeah, I thought this was very nicely done.
Yeah,
I was excited the way to see it.
The artist conveys movement, like on this spread, like with the movement of the leg.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. And just the expressions on the faces, too. They do a nice job with that.
Yeah.
So, and I just like the background color, too, so it makes the colors really pop.
Yeah.
Also. So, yes, very nice. This was a good one where he's twirling and moving and you sense the movement.
Yeah, there's so much joy in this.
Yes. So very well done. I'm we'll definitely put it onto our list to recommend to families and teachers and Yes. So this one again was A Day with No Words by Tiffany Hammond.
And there's the ISBN number to scan. All right. Great. What's next, Mary Ellen?
I think this was one of your favorites, so we'll talk about this together.
Okay.
But this is Mr. S by Monica. Is it
Arnaldo?
Arnaldo?
Yeah.
So this is just a fun first day of school book, and it takes an unusual twist. I love the end papers, of course. But they're talking about Mr. S, their teacher. So this is a kindergarten class. It's their first time at school. They get to school and they're waiting for their teacher. And they're like, shouldn't he be here by now? And so, and if you look, you can see out the window. There's some stuff going on outside the window here.
It's like two narratives going on.
Yes. And so they're wondering what they should do. And they're like, no teacher means no rules. And the other half of the class is like, no, absolutely not. And then all of a sudden they hear the sound of a ruler and they're like, who did that? But there was only a sandwich sitting there on the desk. And so if you look at the sandwich, you can see the bologna hanging out. It kind of looks like a tongue and the olives look like an eye.
It's so goofy.
And so then they start talking about, you don't think that's Mr. S, our sandwich. They start talking about the letter. And they're all like, Mr. Sandwich. So yes, it's a very fun story about the first day of school. But I love how the kids then they decide, oh, well, we need to get to work, and they're coming up with the alphabet, and it's all food related. In the meantime, if you look out here, there's still something going on in the parking lot, and they're like, Mr. S was tough but fair. And then you look outside and you see lightning coming down and the car on fire. But they're getting together. They're doing art. They're doing story time. They're singing some songs.
This song is great. Mary had a little ham.
Little ham, Mary had a little ham on some nice rye bread.
So great.
There's something unusual. We've never had a teacher like him. And then they start talking about there's all sorts of teachers. And then somebody comes in the door. And it turns out it's the principal. Mr. Spencer, your principal. And then he introduces your teacher, Mr. S. So
it's been the teacher all along.
It's been the teacher all along. So just a really fun story about the first day of school and the class working together. And then at the end, you see all the pictures of all the teachers. So just a fun, imaginative first day of school story. Like I haven't seen any other picture book that kind of takes this approach, but it was really a fun story.
It was, yeah. I love this character of the sandwich with his tongue hanging out and his little olive eyes. Like I think the illustrations in this one are going to make kids laugh. It's so hilarious. And I like that the letters are kind of written in mustard. The end really baffled me. And I was going to ask you if you had the same response, because you get all the way through the story. And on the last page, it says, Mr. S was as composed as ever. That's quite all right, children, but actually my name isn't Mr. Sandwich. The S stands for... And they don't tell you. Like, I was losing sleep over this. I was like, what could it be? Is it salami? Well, it could be substitute because he is their teacher. I was just, so it's kind of funny. Like, it ends on this kind of record scratch, like, and that can be something kids can try to guess what the S might stand for. It's very open-ended.
Yeah, so that would be a great discussion. You know, what do you think it stands for? And so that could be a beginning talk about, you know, the sound, the letter sound, what words sound like, you know, Mr. S, what could it be?
Yeah.
So I think like the book Penny and Pip, it leads you with something to talk about.
Right.
Which is kind of fun too.
Yeah. So, I think, you know, it could even be like a little writing prompt, you know, like what you think S stands for, and then make your argument. Like, why do you think, you know, say salami or I don't know. But yeah, this is a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see what else she's going to do, this author.
Yeah, I'd love to see it used with the classroom to see what they would do with it.
Yeah.
So, so if any of you use it, be sure to let us know.
And if there's an obvious answer to the S we didn't notice in the book, let us know.
Yes. So Mr. S, and then here is the ISBN.
Okay. We've got another great first day of school book.
Yes.
The brilliant Ms. Bangle. I'm trying to hold that up so you can see. So right off, I love the energy of this cover. Like she's running into class. She's got her art supplies. She's got her crazy plaid pants and her like sunflower socks. I already love this character. And so this is about a beloved school librarian who doesn't come back. And that's they're talking about their first day, Miss Stack. And so all the kids are like, where's Miss Stack? Their librarian. And they're just like, oh, well, you've got a new librarian this year. And here they show her, she smelled like cinnamon. She was always smiling. She leads the kids in making bookmarks. So you get the feeling this is going to be a tough act to follow. And in comes Ms. Bangle. And the kids don't want to give her a chance.
Right.
No matter how good a librarian she is, she's not Ms. Stack. And so I love this page. Like, she's kind of trying to win them over. And she wants to read to them, and they're just like, well, we don't want to hear it. I love you. See all these crossed arms. And like, the kids are looking glum. And she looks around and she picks up a book. She's like, how about this one? It's called The Rise of Lithographic Printing in 18th Century England. And I love Marty stifled a giggle. And so like some of the kids are already kind of warming up to her, but they don't want to let on. And I love this. She picks up a brochure. How about this? It's the town parking policies for holidays. Did you know there's no parking on Celery Street during parades? So she's picking up like the most boring things in the room. And then she picks up this book. This book makes me laugh so hard. Daisy at the Lagoon. Yeah. And like the kids are just like, oh my God, like read it. But they all know, like, they can't
have her read it. Yeah, they can't have her read it.
That she's winning them over. This illustration cracks me up with the little crocodile in the background.
Yeah.
It's very dark. It makes me laugh. And then this kid just like loses it. "We don't want to read with you," blurted Putnam. "You're not Miss Stack. We love Miss Stack and we want her back." And so she takes a deep breath. She's like, "Fine, I'm going to take this afternoon off and you guys get to run the library."
Yeah. She goes, "I guess this isn't the worst thing. I've got things I've got to do."
Yeah. She talks about calling her friend to see how her rotator cuff surgery went. So I think there's a lot of like humor in this that adults will enjoy.
Yeah.
And so she gives some things to do, like taking the cardboard to the basement, coming up with a lesson plan, shelving all these books. One thing I want to say, like, it's a really text-heavy book. And when we're talking about read-alouds, you don't usually want this much text. So this would definitely be like a second, third grade, maybe read aloud if you chose to do that. But it's worth it with older kids because it is really funny.
Yes.
You see the kid having to go into the dark basement. Here they are shelving things. And then she does get to read them Daisy at the Lagoon, which I love.
They kind of figure out that it's too much work and they really would rather be reading with her.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that while they're doing all this stuff, she's got her sewing machine in the library, and it's got all these great decals on it.
She's hemming her pants.
I know. I love her.
Yes.
So just a really fun character here. Mary Ellen, what did you think of the brilliant Ms. Bangle?
I thought she was brilliant. And she was awesome. So I could see this, if you've got kids that are really hesitant about a new teacher, even though they may be used to going to school, but they have new teachers, this would be a great one to introduce. And I think, like you said, for second and third grade, that heavy text. But it might be one that families could read at home too, if they've got kids that are a little nervous about new teachers. And, it would be a good thing to give them a chance. You never know. They could have other fun traits that may like just as well or even better. So, really nice introduction, I think. We had a couple of really good first day of school books in this one too. So that'll be great. So, yes, wonderful.
Oh, let's show the ISBN on this one too.
And I love that it was set in the library too.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. I just remembered something as we were looking at these before we went on air.
Yeah.
There's a thing on the dust jacket that says, "Look under this book jacket for a brilliant way to celebrate reading." And I don't know if I can do this on camera, but I can't do it on camera. So if you check this out, you'll have to look. But it's basically like another Daisy book, except this time she's on a dragon and she's holding like a big stick, and it shows all the kids watching as she's reading it out loud.
Oh, fun.
I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yes.
This isn't going to lend itself well to the camera, but there's a fun little treat inside the dust jacket of this one.
Yes, so be sure to take a peek at that if you check it out.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. I'd missed that, so I'm glad you shared that.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for this month. And so thank you. Thank you all for watching. And we'll see you next time on Picture Book Chat. Bye. Bye.